This is Oats and Barley for the Stomping Ground.
Oats and barley.
By Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Frank Warren, it's actually been a minute since we've caught up on an interview. How are you, sir?
I'm all right, my son. We can't go on meeting like this.
We can't indeed. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia again. It's like a second home now for all of us.
It is.
In
I think it's the 8th or 9th time we've been here.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Still enjoying it as much every
I love
time?
it, especially with the fights. We're in the world's capital of boxing.
I think important to note also Riyadh season 20 million global visitors. Obviously, we only see the boxing side of it, but I was in my hotel last night. There was a golden pen event on. There's so much going on out there.
People forget what they've done. I mean, they've had fashion shows on here, they have concerts, pop, rock, recitals, all sorts of things from all different cultures from around the world. It's amazing.
Let's talk about the fight card come Saturday night. The best you've ever been a part of? Yeah,
it's an amazing card. Every fight on there is a main event in its own right. I mean, you're opening it up with Josh Buatsi against Callum Smith. That top a bill up in Liverpool or London in itself, and that's the opening fight on the card.
When you look at the card, I know that you've got your own interest, obviously, but what one is the most intrigue? Is it that undisputed fight? I know a lot of people are saying that Zhang Kabayel fight is another great one in there.
It's hard to pick. I mean, obviously the fights that, like for example, the main event, I'm there as a fan watching it. I have no interest in either of the boxers, so that's nice to be able to sit there and not be invested in one of the fighters, that you're invested in just in the fight and seeing such a great event. And it was a brilliant fight last time, and I think it's going to be an even better fight this time around.
It's mad you say that, because I was speaking to Shakur Stevenson and I said, you're going to be fighting on rather early in the night, which is a change. How do you mind it as a fighter? Because like you say, there are so many fights that could be main events in their own right. I know they're getting paid nicely and it's a huge opportunity on a big stage. Is there a bit of an ego that fighters have to drop a little bit to allow themselves to not take that main event position?
For what they're getting paid, they're not going to complain, I promise you.
Fair enough. Daniel Dubois against Joseph Parker. Eddie Hearn is absolutely adamant that Joseph Parker will beat your man come Saturday. How do you see the fight? I tell you what, Team Parker are so confident, at least from what I've seen. Can we take much from that?
No, he should be confident. I mean, if he's a former world champion, he's done it at all levels, and they've trained hard for the fight, and he's a very good trainer, and they feel they've got the plan to beat the man, and we will see on the night. But so's Daniel. Very, very confident. He's in a good place, and his team feel the same way, so we're going to get a great fight.
Have you spent much time or spoke much to Daniel in throughout camp? We know that
I spoke to him a few times. I pretty much leave the guys alone and speak to the trainer, or rather than that, because I don't want to disturb them. Let them focus on the fight, and if they're not calling me, I know that they're in a good place. They only call me when there's problems.
When I spoke to Daniel, he said that he was relishing more of the media obligations now. I don't think it'll ever be his favourite thing to do, but I think he's starting to enjoy the fruits of his labour a little bit more. Do you think that would be right to say?
He's grown up, hasn't he? He's become more mature, and he's in the way he acts. He's become more confident. He's more comfortable with himself, and most importantly, he knows he can fight. And he's got massive self-belief. He believes he's the best, and he wants to fight the best. He relished this fight. He wanted this fight. We talked about it for a while, and he said, I want this.
What's your prediction for that fight?
I think it's going to be a tough fight. I think it's going to be a very entertaining fight, because to beat Daniel, you've got to back him up. You've got to try and back him up. You've got to come and fight him. And he's good going on the front foot, and he's also a good counter-puncher. So you're going to get some fireworks whilst it lasts. It won't go the distance, I don't think.
Hamza Shiraz, a Riyadh season ambassador, someone who's fought on a lot of the shows over here, a great leader for the Muslim world, of course. We know that His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh loves that. Oscar was there when he won his first pro title at York Hall. To be sat in this position with him now must be some journey, Frank.
He has. He's done brilliantly. He didn't come from some amazing amateur background, and he's shown that hard work, endeavour and direction can get you to the top. And he's worked very hard over the last few years now, in some really good fights, been involved in some good fights and learning fights. And each time I see him fight, he gets more and more confident. He gets more accomplished in his boxing ability. And I think this is his time. But he's in again, he's in with a very, very good world champion, an excellent world champion.
I'm aware you've been asked a million questions already about the Shakur Stevenson against Floyd Schofield fight being off. I also understand that there's probably only certain things you yourself know because you're not directly a part of the fight. But can you understand why people are a little bit confused? I mean, Oscar was at his hotel interviewing him a couple of hours before, and everything seemed like it was, you know, absolutely okay. Then there's certain tweets, and now all of a sudden the fight's off. I mean, just from your understanding, I don't know.
He went to hospital. He wasn't well. This is what I'm told. He went to hospital, and he was kept in for observations. And the Boxing Board of Control doctor said he can't fight. If somebody's in hospital, was it 4 days before a fight? You cannot let them fight. If they've been in hospital or in there, if anything, God forbid, was to go wrong, how is the sport, beside the fact it's bad for him, how does the sport recover from that? And that's it. So the Board of Control made their decision, and what we're doing now is looking for a replacement opponent, and there will be one.
Josh Padley put up a funny tweet a couple of months ago after he beat your man Mark Chamberlain, almost as if like, if you beat Turki Al-Sheikh's favourite fighter, we know that one of them was Mark Chamberlain at the time, more opportunities will come. He said, His Excellency can't find his pen, I've not had the call. Well, now he has. Looks like he will be the man stepping in to fight Shakur Stevenson. If that was the case, Josh Padley, that would be the biggest upset in boxing history, right?
What, if he wins?
Yeah.
I would think so.
But what an opportunity, right?
Well, but things happen in boxing, you know. It's a tough fight, that's for sure.
That's why fighters stay ready, should stay ready at least.
Stay in the gym and keep ticking over.
I've spoke to Dennis McCann a little bit, just sort of on a personal level, and on TikTok he's alluded a couple of times that he will be back soon, or there'll be some sort of news imminently. Are you able to clarify anything on your end that you may have heard?
Nothing at the moment. He shouldn't be saying anything, and nothing to say at the moment.
Okay. Anthony Joshua, I know obviously not your fighter, but I'm sure, we believe he'll be there come Saturday night. I'm sure he'll have one eye closely on the co-main event. If it's not to be the winner of that fight, what fights do you think are right for the rebuild of Anthony Joshua right now?
Well, you've got to ask his team, but we've got plenty of fighters there who can be part of it, that's for sure.
Have you spoke much to Tyson Fury at all since he announced his retirement?
No, I see him at the Derek Chisora fight. I haven't spoken to him since. I know he's had a few breaks, family breaks and so forth, and he's got quite a few projects coming up which are really exciting and interesting, and that's it. But I haven't spoken to him about him boxing, nor will I.
Derek Chisora did what Derek Chisora always does and changes his mind a million times. He said, fuck that, in the post-fight press conference. I want to fight in England again. Will it be 50? Will it be 55?
Well, if he fights again, it'll definitely be 50.
Well, that's true. Well, I'm sure he will fight again. The three names that he held up, I mean, we believe that you'll be integral in his career at this part. Is there one that sat here excites you the most? I mean, I always thought about, you know, maybe a fight in Zimbabwe. We know Francis Ngannou.
Financially, that's never going to happen.
Never? Even with Riyadh season?
It just won't happen, forget it.
You don't think so?
No.
What about a fight somewhere in Africa?
If someone have to find a lot of money to do it. These guys are not amateurs.
Yeah, true. Joe Joyce, there's been a little bit of sort of comments from people watching interviews, etc., saying that he shouldn't be fighting. Just your reaction to that?
Well, probably like when that time I said a couple of years ago that Derek shouldn't be fighting. I got that wrong, didn't I? You know, he showed he had fight in him. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and you have to be licensed to box. You know, you have to go through a lot of medicals. You have to be tested. You have to, the Board of Control, especially as you're getting older in the game, they keep an eye on you. That's what we have a British Boxing Board of Control there for. They licensed, in our case, licensed our boxers. And he's licensed. He's currently licensed because he fulfills all the criteria to be allowed to box.
Cool. Just very quickly, sat here now with your DAZN schedule looming sort of in the back of your mind, knowing that you've got this, and then go into April. You've got some fantastic fight cards. You obviously had the media day. we've worked with DAZN for a matter of years now. We know what a fantastic broadcaster they are. Are you excited from being with the guys? We know Mike's a good sort of close friend of yours. Yeah. Excited to just get things underway now?
There's a lot of people. There's a couple of people who worked at BT who were there
as well.
Pete, a few of them, and that's how we know them. Plus some of their existing team who are really good at what they do, and we're really looking forward to it and relishing the competition with our fellow promoters on there. It's going to be great. The beneficiaries obviously be DAZN, but more importantly, the viewers. And the best thing about it for the viewers, you've got one subscription.
Eddie said it's like a double-edged sword. He said he wants to have the best schedule in boxing, but actually he just wants DAZN to do as best as possible. Are you kind of in the same boat?
I am, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Will we ever see Simon Jordan at one of these Riyadh season shows? We know His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh invited him.
I've got no idea. You better ask him. What you asked him? I'm not his travel agent.
Never interviewed him, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you can ask for me.
Well,
I'm sure that will be your first thing when you go on Talk
I will not forget that. The first thing I'll be on my mind when I speak to him next time.
Frank Warren, you're a legend as always. Thank you ever so much for your time.